Now we're going to test the automat class that we just created. The automat class is the one that holds its internal state using state objects in a state variable. And we're going to create a program, a testing program called test automat. And this test automat program is going to, its constructor is going to create a new automat object, pass it a value of 9 until it has 9 apartments to rent. So the first thing we're going to do is have the automat get an application from a candidate, a renter candidate, and so it's going to say automat.get application, and then it's going to have to check the application to see whether or not it's going to rent to that person, and there's a so-and-so chance that it will, and there's also a chance that it won't, and then rent the apartment if appropriate. So now let's take a look at actually running this test program and seeing what happens. And there we are. Thanks to the application, sorry you are not approved, and it's responding to the rent apartment call there at the bottom. So let's try again and see whether or not we can't get an apartment. Nope, not again. And there we are. Finally, we were approved for an apartment thanks to the application. Congratulations, you're approved. Renting your apartment. Here are your keys. So you see, we're getting the same kind of response as with when we used methods to implement the state design pattern, but now we're using objects to implement the state design pattern. And the idea here is that you have a variable that holds different state objects, and the objects correspond to the 4 different states of the application, fully rented state and so forth, and they go into a state variable, and this variable has its methods called on it, and those methods, the code stays the same in the automat, but what actually changes is the response of the state object, because in the state variable, because that state object is different depending on the internal state of the automat. So that's how you can actually store state in a state variable using state objects. Don't have to actually use a set of methods. Instead, you can use objects. So that's an alternate way of implementing the state design pattern, and a fairly good one. And so you'll often see this, as a matter of fact, in Java. This kind of thing appears a lot. You have an internal state variable of some sort, and you load different objects into it, and then you can call the same methods on that variable, but you get different responses depending on what actual state object is loaded into that variable. So that is the state design pattern.